Hi there, my name is Layton and welcome to my knitting diary. This is the 8th episode. Can you believe that I had the last episode named the wrong thing for almost a month? We're on the 9th episode. And it is the end of October, so I want to share a bunch of my knitting that I've done over the course of October. I know I look kind of different today. I've pinned my bangs back. I just didn't feel like having bangs today because they're kind of greasy. My whole head's kind of greasy. And also I wanted to do some fun makeup for this finished object that we will be talking about shortly. If you are my mom or think like my mom, no, I am not growing my bangs out. I just felt like something different for today. So I think pretty obviously I have a finished object, and it's actually my only finished object I have to share today. So let's talk about it. This is my Entrelac jacket, my Entrelac experiment, or now I have determined my Entrelacket. I looked it up. I cannot find any instance of anyone using that term before now. I may have missed something. There are definitely Entrelac jackets, including an Entrelac pattern. An Entrelac jacket pattern that I was very heavily inspired by to make this, but no one has called their project an Entrelacket before, so I'm coining it now for this object only. I've talked about this a bunch in my previous episodes. In my last episode I had the body and one of the sleeves done, and now I have everything done. So that includes the collar, the sleeves obviously, and a zipper. I'm very excited. This is the first zipper I've ever put into a knit, and I think it went pretty well. What helped a lot, I think, was everything had been blocked beforehand. So I sewed it in, and the rest of the knit was laying as it would lay after blocking, so I didn't have to worry about like stretching it at all. I did mention in my last episode that I was thinking about redoing the button band that I had knitted before. It was kind of a purple color and it was also a lot longer. I'm very glad that I decided to do that. I made it probably about half the length, these bands along the collar here, and then when I sewed in the zipper, I actually sewed it to the point where I picked up for these bands, and then it just kind of fits really perfectly in between. It's short enough so that it doesn't like cover the zipper fully and the zipper never gets stuck in it, but long enough that it covers the zipper enough to a point that I like. I just saw a bird. There wasn't a lot left on this project when I talked about it in my last episode, but I had a completed sleeve at that time, and turns out that that sleeve was too long. I sewed it on, and I'll try and replicate. It was like this much past the end of my fingers when I would just had my arms at my side, which was way too long. I put a poll on Instagram. The two options were like, should I shorten this? The right thing? Or should I just be lazy and embrace the Hal vibes, like Hal from Howl's Moving Castle, who has super long sleeves? But most people told me to fix it, which is really what I needed to do and what I knew I needed to do in the first place. So I went back and shortened it, and now I think they're pretty perfect in length. They kind of just cover the ends of my hands a little bit, which is what I like, because this is a pretty oversized jacket. I wanted the sleeves to be kind of longer. So yeah, it really wasn't that hard to shorten it. I think the sleeves sewed in really well. Something I wish I had considered before is that if I made the sleeve the same like number of Entrelac patterns as what I had on the body, so you can see that there are some edge triangles to fill in the entrelac, and there are some triangles at the top of the sleeve. I would have been able to line those up. As it was, I think there were 9 on the sleeve and 10 on the body, so I just kind of had to fudge it, and so they don't line up as nicely on the backs, which is fine. I don't think I really noticed that much. I have been wearing it a lot. I kind of have to stop myself from wearing it every day because it's kind of crazy, and I do wear it to work. No one has commented on it at work, so I think it's work appropriate. It is a surprisingly warm jacket. I should mention the yarn is Noro Chirimen in the color 2. It is, let me see, I still have a couple of skeins left. So it is a mix of 60% cotton, 24% silk, and 16% wool. I would not guess that. It is warm enough that I would have guessed the wool content was much higher than 16%. But yeah, I get very cold in the office, and this has definitely been keeping me warm. If you're interested in making something like this for yourself, it was honestly not that hard. Basically, you just make a swatch, and you take your measurements, and then you cast on enough stitches to be a comfortable level of oversize for you at the bottom, knit up, split for the back and the front, you knit the sleeves up. There's not a ton of like increasing or decreasing. The collar is a little bit more complicated. I didn't end up redoing it. I think I might have mentioned that in the previous episode, but like, I think it's worked itself out. It's fine. I 100% recommend trying out Entrelac. It's really fun, and I kind of felt like it went faster than just plain stockinette. If you learn to knit backwards, it goes by really quick because you're not switching your work back and forth. Well, rotating it around. And I think the way that the knitting is oriented, it feels like you're using fewer stitches to cover the same amount of space. That's probably not true, but like that's how it feels. So yeah, try out some Entrelac. I kind of feel like I'm an Entrelac person now. I'm kind of wondering if I want to make another one of these jackets just because they're really fun. But I don't think I'm ever going to get as good a deal as I got on this yarn, which I got at Swanson's Fabrics, which is a like local fiber thrift store near me. And so I got this yarn for $30, which is way less than it would have normally retailed for when before it was discontinued. But yeah, I've fallen in love with Noro yarns, and so I love this jacket. This next thing I'll talk about really quickly because it's not really a finished object. It's just something I've added to a finished object. So in the last episode I showed off this big fuzzy jacket, the Big Fuzz, and I just added some pockets on. So these are just like, I cast on 12 stitches, decreased after I knit some bits, and then I just mattress stitched them on, and they're pretty big and cozy and really helpful. So I think I'll just kind of be adding more things onto this sweater as I feel like it. I still have this much yarn left, so I would like to use it all up. So I think the next thing that I'll add on whenever I feel like it is like an actual button band and some sort of closure mechanism, because right now it just kind of hangs open, which is nice because it's so warm that you don't really need to close it fully, but I think maybe when it is actually winter it might be nice to have the full closure. We're still in fall, thank God, but yeah, we'll see when that happens. But yeah, so far it's just like, the pockets were like, I came home from work and did them in like 3 hours, so it's just kind of a nice thing to do to get a quick serotonin, I've completed something, and made my knits better, because that's something you can do with knitting, which is really cool. That was all the finished objects. Yeah, I feel like I've talked about this Entrelacket in so many other episodes that there wasn't that much left to do, and I love it so much, but I think I've said all I've said about it. All I can say about it. So, yeah, I feel like that was a little bit short, but we have plenty of works in progress to talk about, so let's move on to that. So, the first work in progress is the one that has been in the last 3 episodes. So that is, of course, my mom's Hakuji top-down by Eri Shimizu. This is a pattern I previously made for myself, and I've talked about it a lot because it has been in so many episodes. In the last episode, I had just completed the body, and I told myself I could take a little bit of a break on it because I had other things I wanted to work on. But now I have come back and started the first arm. So, first sleeve. This is how far I've gotten. It is really difficult to tell how long this is supposed to be, because this is a drop shoulder and it like drops a lot. I really have to have my mom try it on to determine how long I want it to be. This sleeve also has a fair bit of a rib section that it's like, I don't remember exactly how long it is, but it's like almost half the sleeve. So I want to consult with my mom about if that's what she wants or if she wants a shorter rib section. I think I'm doing pretty well on the yarn right now. I didn't have a ton left after completing the body, and so I am still a little bit unsure if I'm going to be able to make full-length sleeves. I've done all of this with less than half of one of the skeins, and I had about maybe a little bit more than 1.5 left. So I haven't even finished the half skein that I had. So I think I'll probably be able to make full-length sleeves. I did mess up kind of a lot on the cable pattern. I started it later than I should, like by a couple rows, and I'm doing the cables more often than I should. But I feel like as long as I'm consistent, it doesn't really matter. I did steam block it with my iron, so it does look a little bit nicer than when it's just plain knitting, or like right after I knit it. The tension on this is kind of weird. It's very thin yarn on larger needles. The yarn is Holst Garn Coast in the color Lavender. So yeah, very, very slow progress, but you know, I'm almost there. I maybe did this in like a couple days. That's not right. Like, it's taken me less than a week to do this, which seems like kind of a long time, but I've been working on a lot of other things at the same time, so I will definitely have this done before Christmas. I just need to go home and have my mom try it on first. So yeah, that's that. I'm hesitant to say this, but it might be done by the next episode. Recently it seems like I can get one of these out a month, which is kind of nice. So we'll see by the end of November where that project is. Hopefully done, I'm gonna say. I kind of have to force myself to work on it. So, like, taking it to work for lunch breaks and stuff. But as long as it gets done, that's all I need. The next work in progress is also a longer term work in progress that I've talked a lot about. But it is kind of getting there. I kind of have some questions to pose. So this is my Aran Cardigan, which is based on the pattern Rice Fields by Drops Designs. It is knit in Lion Brand Fisherman's wool in the Undyed colorway. And I think the best way to show where I'm at is to just put it on. So give me a second. So if you remember what I was saying about my Entrelacket having sleeves that were too long, this jacket has the same problem. It's not as bad as the Entrelacket was, but they're definitely like loose. I can't even really show because it's mostly when I hang my arms down, they just like cover them completely, which is not what I need. So that's the first thing I need to fix. And then secondly, I don't know if you can really see it on video, but there's this weird bump here. So let's back up. In the last episode, I had the back, one of the fronts, and most of a sleeve completed. This is the rest of that sleeve fully completed and sewed on, but obviously it's too long, so I'll have to take the sleeve off because of that, and also, I don't know what this bump is. I mean, I do know what it is. So when I cast off, this is a bobble stitch pattern where you make 2 stitches in 1 stitch, so you're increasing by 2, and then you do an in-between row, and then the row after you decrease 2, so it's a 3, 3, and then back into 1. Does that make sense? I don't know. But when you cast off, what I've been doing is I have been decreasing the 3, and then on these bobble rows, when you do the increases, you're also doing the decreases at the same time. This is such a terrible explanation. So in order to make this pattern, it's kind of like you increase, decrease, increase. And then you get this kind of grid of bobbles. So on the last row before I cast off, what I do is I just do the decreases and I don't do the increases. And so what's happening there is that the bobbles are closing together, but then you're not like expanding out the pattern anymore. And so the number of stitches kind of is smaller than the last row, and then you get this poof when you sew it on. That's a good demonstration of it. And I really don't like it. And I'm not 100% sure what I should do to fix it. I kind of have to do the decreases because otherwise this sleeve would be much longer around than it actually is, and so it would look kind of weird. Like, I think it would be in the opposite direction where it looked kind of stretched out. But obviously the decreases are causing problems. And honestly, at this point, I kind of knew that the bobble pattern was not a good idea on the sleeve because it's going around a smaller circumference, and so you can't even really see as much what's going on. But at this point, I'm wondering if I should just take it off and reknit the sleeve entirely and omit the bobbles. Maybe just knit it in moss stitch, which is what these panels are knit in, like in the increase section and on the sides. Or maybe try and work something out, because you do the bobble pattern and then there's garter in between. So maybe I could like replace the bobbles with a different like moss and then continue to do the garter pattern. That's very difficult for me to say. I'm not sure. If you have any ideas for this, let me know. I do like the cables. The cables would stay, but I think maybe just this bobble section needs to be something else, because I don't think it's really doing anything for the sleeve. Otherwise, the rest of the body seems pretty good. I knit the other front. I did that before I took the sleeve off, so the order of things was I put the sleeve on, realized it was too long, didn't want to take it off, and so I thought I'd knit the other side just to double check about like where things were laying. So this is actually like fully sewn on underneath the arm too on the sides and on the top. So I could like gauge where it was sitting, because before it was just kind of loose on this side, and so I didn't really know if maybe once I put this on the sleeve would be short enough. But no, it's still too long. So I did that, and then there's also, I did the button band on the side that you don't have to put buttonholes in. I just did a long tail bind off on this because I did a long tail cast on the bottom, and so they kind of match. It is not blocked, so it's very much scrunching up the front, but I think once I block it, it will be fine. I don't even know if you can tell this on camera also, but since this is the undyed colorway, I don't think there's definitely not a dye lot, and I kind of thought they would be all the same. I had no reason to think that, so I'm pretty sure the yarn that I knit this front in is slightly more yellow than this front, and I used the same yarn for the pickup. And it is definitely a little bit more yellow. I think it'll be fine. I don't really notice too much. Well, obviously I did notice, but I don't think anyone else will notice. So, not really a big deal. If I'm really feeling like it's like I notice it a lot and it looks weird, I might dye this whole thing. I really like the cream color because I think it's really classic, but I don't know. I could also wear it in a different color. Hello, motorcycle. So yeah, I think otherwise, like, I'm okay with how this shoulder's laying. Once again, we've got a drop shoulder, so it's just drop shoulder time, I guess. That's honestly a reason why I've been having so much trouble with the length of sleeves, is because I'm not good at gauging how much the drop shoulder drops, and it's like a ton. Like, it goes like halfway between my elbow and then my actual shoulder, and so then when I like knit the sleeves, I'm like, oh, they have to go up closer to my shoulder, but no, then I have an extra like 4 inches on the sleeve. So yeah, I'm learning, I guess. I would rather have a sleeve that is too long than too short, but these have just been excessive. So yeah. Once again, I'm on a little bit of a break with this project. At least this one isn't as a gift, so I don't really have to worry about it being like completely done. But it's still like, I've had some of these works in progress for months, and I just want to work on new things and not feel guilty about it, because I kind of feel guilty casting on new things when I really want to finish the ones that I already have. But at the same time, I want my knitting to bring me joy and not like, yeah, I want it to bring me joy and not to be like knitting on something that I'm not enjoying. So that's not really the point of knitting for me. But yeah, I still want to get things done. Like, it brings me joy to finish things too, so I need to have some of that joy in my life. And so I need to finish my projects, but they just require a lot of thinking, so yeah. We're like getting closer on all of these things. I really don't want to cast on the second sleeve until I know what I'm going to do with this sleeve, because if I have to fully reknit 2 sleeves, that'll be a lot. But if it helps me get something that I'm happier about, then obviously that'll be a good thing. So, I don't know, we'll see. I think I'm kind of inching this project along by doing the button bands, and I'm going to do the collar soon, and that'll give me more time to think about what to do on the sleeves. Enough about that. Let's put on my other jacket again, which brings me great joy, and I have stopped having to think about. The last returning work in progress is my brother's socks. They're a little bit longer than they were before. I think they were maybe like here-ish, and I've added like 2 inches. So if these were socks for me, I think this is where I'd be starting to think about doing the heel, but I really need to try them on. They are pretty wide around, and so they stretch, and so he has really long feet, so I don't know like how long they need to be and how much they're going to stretch until I have him try them on. Same kind of thing, these are going in a bag to go back with me when I visit my family, and so they're going to be tried on. And before I forget, this is Cascade Heritage, which is a sock yarn, in the color Agate Green. The final work in progress is also a new yarn acquisition, which will kind of nicely segue after I talk about it. But this is the Anivia Shawl by Verily Claire, or I don't remember her name. Verily Claire. It is a free pattern on Ravelry, and I am knitting it using this yarn, which is, sorry for the noises, I'm not very much experience with Germanic languages besides English, and this is a German yarn, I believe, and Schachenmayr? Schachenmayr. Regia Premium. I'm so sorry. This is the Merino Yak blend. It is a sock yarn, so it has wool, polyamide, and yak, which is cool. I got this at Swanson's. I looked it up, and it's usually like $30, but of course, since I got it at Swanson's, they sell it for $4 for 100 grams of yarn, so great deal. But yeah, this is really fun. I started it last week because, as I mentioned, I needed to not think about any of the projects that I had going on, and I wanted to knit something quick. I have been very tempted to cast on a sweater for myself, and I've been stopping myself because I would like to finish the sweaters that I currently have on my needles before starting something else. But I really needed something else to think about than the other projects I had going on. So this is just a lace shawl. It's a right triangle shawl, so you start at one end, and then you just keep knitting, and then you never decrease, you only increase, and then you just knit to the end of the skein. I'll try and show it up a little bit closer, including the block sections, but it has this really cool zigzag pattern it's just one stitch decreases and yarn overs, and so I'm having a lot of fun knitting it. It's very, it's just the right amount of engaging, but not too much thinking, where I can just pick it up at work, after work, at work, during my lunch, and just knit along. So fun fact, one section of this is slightly blocked, and then the rest of it, starting from about here, is unblocked. I didn't really mean to block this first section, but my cat threw up on it, so I had to wash it, and then that kind of blocked it, so it opened up a little bit. It definitely has a lot more blocking to go, because I really want it to stretch out and have as much fabric as possible. Oh god, I just stuck it right in my lip gloss. Not a good idea, but yeah, I think it'll look nice. I'm not really a shawl person, although I think I'm going to become a shawl person. I will show in a couple minutes. I bought some sock yarn from Swanson's, including this one, but I find socks really intimidating to start because I don't like knitting them two at a time, despite the last project I showed. But, like, I get really intimidated by, I can do one sock, but I don't want to do the second sock, and so then I just never want to cast on socks. I mean, I've done the second sock for all of the sock projects I've knit, but, like, the idea of getting to the end of one, and then starting another one is, especially since a lot of the sock projects that I've done have been kind of heavily textured, which is enjoyable and nice because then you don't have to count as much as like with the plain stockinette sock. But you do have to, like, it is a lot of stuff going on as you knit it on very small needles. So I would like to knit more socks, but I am still in the point of not wanting to cast them on. So it was nice that I could figure out how to use this sock yarn for something that was not socks. Normally, I feel like previously I have not wanted to use like sock yarn for anything that is not socks, but this is pretty soft. I mean, you can't feel the nylon, so it's not really a big deal. And I think the yak is nice. It's especially soft when it's blocked. But yeah. I want to get done with this. I have about 40 grams left of this, so I think it should be over pretty quick, but yeah. I want to be finished with this, and then my brain is like, once I finish this, I can start a new sweater, even if I haven't finished those other sweaters. Not a good idea, but god, I really want to cast on a sweater. That's the end of my works in progress, so I do have a couple of acquisitions. I really should stop acquiring things, but I can't help it. So the first two are these two sock yarns. These are again from Swanson's. This is ZwergerGarn Opal Rodeo in the color Farb. Nope, Farb is the color. Farb probably means color. This is the color 1154. So it's just a nice striped sock yarn. I've actually never gotten self-striping yarn to use for socks, so I think this might be fun to do some stockinette socks on, and it might be kind of motivating in terms of knitting them, of like getting to the next color and seeing what it is. The second one is also opal. This is Creedens Socken Kessenuma in the color KFS132. I think when I looked these up, it said this was for the Japanese market, which would make sense because there is a lot of Japanese written on this. Yeah, it's kind of pinky red with some of the like spotted areas. So yeah, I think this might be for my dad, maybe, since I'm just giving my brother socks now, and I don't know if this might be for me or someone else in my family, but I do like this. These are not as soft as the Merino yak, so they probably will be going to socks, and they're just classic wool polyamide nylon blends, as that one says. At the same time as that, I also picked up some of this Paton's classic wool roving. The New England Fiber Festival is coming up, and I am going with my mom, and we're taking a nail binding class, which is like the predecessor to knitting and crochet. It's worked with like a big needle, and you work with short sections of yarn, and then when you join a new yarn you have to felt it together. So something like this I thought would work really well. The class does come with supplies, but I thought if I did more, it would be nice to have more. I feel like I could make some like fingerless mitts out of this, or maybe a hat. I don't know how much I'm going to be into nail binding, but I can use this for other things if I need to as well. And the last acquisition, once again from Swanson's, is this. This is a cone of Holst Garn Super Soft in the color saffron. So yeah, I've used a lot of Holst Garn before. My mom's Hakuji is made out of Holst Garn Coast, which is their cotton merino blend. This is all wool. It's like half merino and half not merino. And I have a lot here. So they actually had two cones at Swanson's. They had this and a more red. So this is kind of an orangey red, which I thought would be nice. Because I feel like I have more red things. My idea for this is I want to hold it double because a lot of Holst Garn's stuff is like really light fingering. So I did swatch with this. This is all held double but on different sized needles. And then I did some cable swatches. These are mock cables. I was thinking about casting on the Winter Pearl sweater from Drops, which is a raglan with these really nice all over mock cables. But I don't really love how they look in this yarn. And also, I have been much more focused on fit the longer I knit. And I don't think that sweater has built-in short rows. And I was trying to think about how I would do the short rows, how I would add short rows to that sweater. And I think if you did short rows like normally, where you go back and forth around the front of the collar, you would like disrupt, like you would end with all of the different cable sections being on different parts of the repeat, I believe, because you're working the rows a different number of times, which would work out, I think, but I'm just not sure how that would look overall. So yeah, I kind of went off of that. I think you could do the thing where you just don't join in the round and you do increases along the collar, to avoid that problem, but I didn't really feel like doing that. And then there's another drops pattern called Cinnamon Swirls, I believe, which has the English shoulders where you do the trapezoid and then you pick up stitches and knit down, and it has really big 4x4 cables and a section of fisherman's rib, like half fisherman's rib in between. It's kind of like this where you have the like cable-y section, I'm holding this backwards, the cable-y section and then the like one stitch in between. But I think I will do that instead of this. That one is a little, well, I was gonna say it's a little bit more oversized, but I'm not actually sure that it is. But I think I will enjoy that more. I do enjoy that method of knitting because it is a lot of little sections, which is nice. And so I feel like they go really quickly, and then you're just in the round very quickly after that. Raglans are nice, but I haven't knit a raglan in a while, so I'm not sure. But yeah, this is the sweater that I think I will start once I finish the shawl. The sweater that I want to start that I really should not be starting. Also, I should mention, when I blocked this, I blocked it twice actually. It's called Super Soft because you're supposed to, it's unwashed fleece, unwashed wool when they spin it up. And so you get it unwashed and you're supposed to wash it after you knit your garment, and it's supposed to get super soft after that. First time I blocked it, washed and blocked it. It doesn't really feel soft, I guess I would say. I saw on Ravelry someone said to wash it with dish soap, so I did that. I don't know how much softer it got. Maybe I just needed to be a little bit more aggressive. I don't know. But it did bleed a lot. So I was thinking about doing some color work with this, but I actually don't think that's a good idea because I don't want to mess up color work with bleeding. So yeah, I just want to do a sweater. I've been on a jacket cardigan kick, and now I'm feeling like I need more sweaters. So, I don't know. But yeah, this is what I want to cast on after. Okay, that's all of my personal knitting things. I do want to share some things that are also slightly knitting related. My birthday was at the beginning of the month, and my friend who I have really pushed to knit a lot, like she already did crochet and stuff, and I think she probably already knew how to knit, but I was like, I pushed her to make her first sweater, I think. She sent me some stuff, and I just want to share it off because it's so cute. This is a little seagull that she knitted me. I am a big fan of Brighton and Hove Albion Football Club, which I've mentioned before. My seagull sweater is mentioned in a previous episode, probably multiple previous episodes. I love seagulls, and so she made me this little seagull, and he's so cute. Look at his little feet. I don't exactly remember the pattern. It was really funny though, because I did not realize you could do this, but we were just chatting on the phone one day, and I was like browsing through Ravelry and just clicking on random pages, and we're friends on Ravelry, and at some point I clicked on like community or something, and it was showing me all of the things that she had liked recently, and one of them was this seagull pattern, which I had previously also liked because I was going to knit a seagull at some point. So I kind of spoiled my present for myself, but like obviously this is better than I could have ever imagined. He's so cute. He sits on my couch. I have yet to name him. It's probably gonna be named after one of the Brighton players, of course. Actually, I have a game to watch after I finish filming this, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, look at how sweet he is. Precious. Love him. And then another thing she sent me is a little bit messed up now, but you'll understand why. Is this little mouse? He's so cute. So I have a cat, and she made this little mouse for the cat to play with, and my cat loves him so much. This is the Victorian mouse, which is a free pattern on Ravelry by Rabbit Hole Knits. I think I actually sent this to my friend, and then so she made it for my cat, and oh, it's just so cute. He's a little bit fuzzy because my cat loves him and plays with him all the time. I've never seen her like go crazy over something like I've seen her go with this. I mean, I have dipped its snout in catnip a couple times, so obviously that's helping, but like I think just the shape of it and the tail, she like the way it moves around when she like flings it, she just goes crazy over it. So yeah, I love my friends. Yeah, I'm so appreciative that I get to share this love of knitting with my friends, and that they make such adorable things. Okay, I just had to clear some stuff out because the camera ran out of space, but thankfully we're all done. Thank God. I think this is going to be a shorter episode. I didn't talk very much about some of these things because not a lot of them are new. But yeah, thank you for watching. I like being on YouTube because it gives me an outlet to talk about knitting and not annoy the people around me, and be able to talk to people that I know will understand what I'm talking about and would like to listen. I'm not really doing this for like gaining subscribers or like getting a ton of likes or a ton of views. But with that being said, if you like to follow along, feel free to subscribe, leave a comment about anything I'm working on, especially that sweater with the weirdness on the sleeves and what I should do about that. But yeah, would love to hear from you or not. I myself have been trying to make it a point on the knitting podcasts that I watch to leave a comment, because I know it's nice to receive a comment. It is a little bit daunting always to have to reply to them, because it's hard to express like how nice it is that someone took the time out of the day to leave a comment. A special thanks to Meliert, who has been leaving me all sorts of nice comments after I mentioned her in the last episode, and she also mentioned me on her Instagram stories, which was crazy. I'm always baffled by how, I mean, I know that the knitting community is small, but I'm so used to not interacting with anyone online that like seeing people like that I've never met before, that I'm not used to the whole like mutuals thing. It's very weird. But yeah, it's amazing how welcoming and close-knit the knitting community is. Everyone is so kind, and I just love being a part of that. Hi there! I had to add an addendum to my thank yous because Maya from Meliert featured me in her last video podcast that I just caught up with, and that was kind of crazy. I don't know. I'm not used to that kind of thing, and it's crazy how the internet connects us around the world. But yeah, again, thank you. I'm so glad that I've gotten to share Entrelac. Sorry, my 7 years of French are not working. Entrelac. I can't not say the C. Entrelac. Entrelac? Entrelac. I don't think so. I should really go to bed, but yeah. Thank you. So, thank you finally again for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.